Let me rewind about 4 hours before that whisper. I was working at a small logistics company. Not a hospital, not an ambulance. Just a gray office building with broken air, conditioning, and a coffee machine that tasted like burnt tires. My boss, let us call him Mr. Cole, was the kind of guy who wore a tie on casual Friday. Serious, quiet, always reading reports. Not the kind of person you imagine needing help. That afternoon, the weather turned bad. Not just rain. A real storm. The sky went greenish yellow, the kind of color you see before a tornado warning. Wind started shaking the windows. Then the power flickered once, twice, and went out completely. The whole building went dark. Emergency lights clicked on, but they were weak. Just little red glows in the hallway. Mr. Cole walked out of his office holding a flashlight. He told everyone to stay calm, that the backup generator would kick in soon. Classic boss move. Trying to look in control. But then he stopped talking. He put one hand on the wall. And then he fell. Not slowly. Not dramatically like in a movie. He just dropped. His head hit the edge of a filing cabinet on the way down. I heard the thud. For 2 full seconds, nobody moved. Because your brain does not believe what your eyes just saw. You think he is joking. You think he slipped. But then someone screamed his name. And I ran over. He was not breathing. I knew that much. His face was already turning a weird gray color. Not blue like TV tells you. Gray like old concrete. His lips were almost purple. I shook his shoulder. Nothing. I yelled his name right into his ear. Nothing. Here is the problem. I had watched CPR videos online. I had seen those little infographics on social media. But I had never actually done it. Never touched a mannequin. Never pressed my hands into a real chest. So I did what most people do. I panicked quietly in my head while my body acted. I put my hands in the center of his chest, locked my elbows, and started pushing. Hard and fast, like the song says. Staying alive. That is what they tell you, right? 100 beats per minute. I was pushing so hard I felt his ribs move under my palms. It felt wrong. It felt like breaking something. But I kept going because the alternative was doing nothing. And doing nothing meant he dies. Someone called 911. Someone else started crying in the corner. The rain was hammering the roof now, so loud I could barely hear the count in my head. I pushed and pushed. And after about 30 compressions, I stopped to tilt his head back and try 2 rescue breaths. I pinched his nose, sealed my mouth over his, and blew. His chest did not rise. I tried again. Nothing. So I went back to pushing.
This went on for what felt like forever. Maybe 4 minutes, maybe 10. My arms were on fire. My back hurt. I was sweating so bad it dripped off my chin onto his white shirt. And then something happened. He made a sound. Not a word. Just a horrible, wet, choking gasp. His eyes opened a little. Not all the way. Just a crack. He looked at me. And I stopped pushing. Big mistake. Huge mistake. But nobody tells you that part. I leaned down. I said, "Mr. Cole, stay with me. Help is coming." And that is when he moved. He lifted one shaky hand, grabbed the front of my shirt, and pulled my face down so close I could smell the coffee on his breath. Then he leaned close to my ear and whispered. His voice was weak but clear. He said, "Not like this." Then his hand let go. His eyes closed again, and he stopped breathing. I sat there for 3 full seconds, just staring at him. Not like this. What did that mean? Not like this as in don't let me die? Or not like this as in you are doing it completely wrong? I had no time to figure it out. So I put my hands back on his chest and started pushing again. But now my brain was screaming. What am I doing wrong? That is the moment everything changed. Because right then the paramedics arrived. 2 of them. They pushed me aside like I was a piece of furniture. One of them ripped open his shirt. The other one put on a mask and started squeezing a bag. And the first paramedic, a woman with short gray hair, looked at what I was doing. She did not say good job. She did not say keep going. She looked at my hand position on his chest and said, "Oh, honey, no." She moved my hands 2 inches lower, right at the center of the breastbone, not between the nipples like the old posters say. Lower. Then she said, "Push 2 inches deep, no more, no less, and do not stop for breaths. Just push, constant." I asked, "What about the rescue breaths?" She shook her head. "Not for you. Not right now. Hands only. Hard and fast. Let the ribs crack. That means you are deep enough." So I kept pushing, but now differently, faster, 2 inches down. "Let the chest come all the way back up. 2 inches down. Come all the way up. Do not lean. Do not bounce. Just straight down and straight up." After 2 more minutes, the other paramedics shocked him with an AED. His body jumped. Then they shocked him again. And on the second shock, his heart started beating again, on its own, a real rhythm. They loaded him onto a stretcher and ran him out into the rain. I stood in the parking lot watching the ambulance lights disappear. My hands were shaking, my knees were weak, and I had no idea if he would live.
Fourth, do not stop. This is the biggest mistake people make. They push for a minute, get tired, and pause. Every time you pause, the blood stops moving to the brain. The brain can only survive about 4 to 6 minutes without oxygen. After that, brain damage starts. So if you pause for 10 seconds to catch your breath, that is 10 seconds of no blood flow. Do not do it. Trade off with someone else if you can. But do not stop. I also learned something else. The paramedic told me something I will never forget. She said, "If you are doing CPR right, you will be exhausted in 2 minutes. If you are not exhausted, you are not pushing hard enough." That hit me, because I was exhausted. So at least I did one thing right. 3 days later, I got a call. It was Mr. Cole's wife. She said he was alive. He had a blocked artery. They put in a stent. He was awake, talking, and asking for me. I went to the hospital. He was in a regular bed, not the ICU. His face had color again. He smiled when he saw me. And then he said, "I remember you stopping. I remember thinking, this kid is going to kill me before my heart does." I laughed. I could not help it. Then I asked him the question that had been burning in my head for 3 days. "When you whispered 'not like this,' what did you mean?" He got quiet. He looked at his hands. Then he said, "I meant not like that. Not panicked. Not broken ribs in the wrong place. Not stopping every 30 seconds. I was fading in and out, but I felt you stop. I felt you lean down to talk to me. And I thought, if I die, I do not want to die like this. With someone who is scared and giving up. I wanted to die fighting, or not at all." Then he reached out and shook my hand. And he said, "You did not give up. So thank you." That was the moment I understood. He was not criticizing my technique. He was begging me to keep going. Not like this. Not like a person who quits. He needed me to be strong even when I was terrified. And I was terrified. But I did not walk away. Here is the truth. You do not need to be a doctor. You do not need a certification card. You need 2 hands, a beat in your head, and the willingness to break a rib. Because a broken rib heals. A dead person does not. The survival rate for cardiac arrest is terrible, but it is way less terrible if someone like you decides to act instead of freeze.